Hello, and welcome back to another episode of our Cthulhu Confidential actual play. While we play through the investigation, The Fathomless Sleep. We hope you enjoyed our first episode, but if you haven't had a chance to see it, that's okay. We got the link that we're putting down in the description for the show and all that stuff. So if you're watching this now and you're like, oh, they're doing Cthulhu Confidential, we have done a first episode where we kind of introduced the system into a little bit of the first scene to get Brent primed for going forward. But today we're actually going to be continuing the investigation. We're going to be doing a little bit there, and of course, I'm going to do the YouTube stuff at the beginning this time, so that rather than 2 hours in, we're going to do this. We're going to do this first because obviously we're experts at this. So if you appreciate this type of content, you like what we do, we'd really be honored if you wanted to hit that like and subscribe. And of course, if you wanted to be notified when we do new content, you can always hit that alert bell and all those things. We do try to post content regularly. And of course, if you guys have any questions, comments, hit us up in the stuff below. And we love to play in the comments. We love to hear what you guys have to say about the wonderful hobby that is tabletop gaming.
It would have been funny if you talked about doing it at the beginning of the show, and then you got sidetracked and didn't do it. Like that would have been pretty funny.
Oh yeah, I mean probably. I mean, that's just what I do. So I mean I don't know. Oh yeah. Oh yep. We weren't in the first minute, so I'm okay to swear, I guess.
I think you're all right. I think you made it. I think
I made it. So
you passed the threshold. I think you're okay.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know the rules of this YouTube stuff. So all I do know is that we'll fun playing games.
Tell the editor to put a potty mouth thing over your mouth at some point.
I'm gonna figure out how to do that bleep thing, and I'm gonna just make one of these so bad that people will be like, what the hell are they saying? It's like, I get her in the bleep, and then it's there. I think I think one of the late night hosts does like an unnecessary bleeping segment.
Yeah, it's definitely a skit somewhere.
I think it's Jimmy Kimmel does it. He does like unnecessary censorship or something like that. It's pretty funny. I get a good laugh out of it because just the immature brain just kind of takes over at that point and goes, they bleep the word.
It's like live Mad Libs.
Pretty much. Yeah, you're like, I wonder what they said. It wasn't obviously that bad. It was like car and bleep. Your brain fills in the rest.
Hopefully not. Hopefully the censors are better than that. Car bleep.
No, I've seen it a couple times. They're better than that. What they do is they usually let the word kind of start just like the pronunciation of the first letter, just so you kind of go, "Ooh, it started with an F. I only know a few words that start with F that get bleeped." Oh no. Okay, yeah. So that being said, are you ready to get back into?
Yes. Do we have to do any like? It's a horror game.
Oh, probably. Yeah, I think we could probably do that. So I think that. So first of all, if you guys are curious, just to recap, we are playing Cthulhu Confidential from Pelgrane Press. This is a gumshoe one-on-one game that is it's literally made for one game master and one player. So kind of just to expect that there could be some intensity about this because you're kind of always in the spotlight and everything like that. And the adventures themselves tend to mix kind of real world noir detective dramas. And then they have kind of a whole host of things that normally accompany noir detective stuff. Could be anything like sexism, violence, adult themes, all those kind of stuff. But it also takes a healthy dose and tries to mix in some, fantastical eldritch horror in there. So there could be things like Lovecraftian body horror, psychological horror, the type of stuff that, you feeling just so insignificant because the cosmos is just bigger than your little puny brain can handle kind of thing. Maybe. Isn't that the fear that you get from reading Lovecraftian stuff?
Existential dread is part of it, yes. But
yeah, that's what I meant to say. Existential dread.
Do you really have to give a warning for that? I feel like warnings are usually for body horror and violence and stuff like that. I don't know if existential dread is something you warn about.
You could. I mean,
if you're prone to existential dread,
you know what? Sometimes you just feel really small in a really big space. Okay, man? Like And so we just want to warn people, not to say that I'm not trying to give away any hints as to how the investigation is going to go. So I just hit them all just so that Brent could be surprised.
Brent will be surprised because he doesn't remember what you said a few minutes ago. So we're good.
This is going to be a great start. I'm an investigator. What did you say?
Who are these people? I have a note. I've been taking notes.
Good. So that's good because it's just one-on-one here. You can't rely on somebody else to step up and be like,
"Oh no, there's another person that I can try and get information from."
Wait, this guy?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Your game is ruined if you don't give me this information.
I guess we'll just have to accept it as it is. Okay. So to set the stage and I guess get back to where we were. Los Angeles, 1937. A city once radiant with promise now struggles to shake off the lingering shadows of the Great Depression. Beneath the glitz and the glamour, corruption seeps through the streets like a slow poison. Navigating this labyrinth of crime and deceit is none other than our hard-nosed private eye, Dex Raymond. Times have been tough for Dex, but a glimmer of hope has appeared in the form of a captivating dame with a puzzling tale about her sister. Enticed by the promise of a good payday, Dex dives headfirst into this enigma, ready to uncover the secrets lurking in the city's darkest corners. There's my noir introduction for you.
That was a good noir introduction.
I actually started watching a little noir just to kind of like get a better sense of it.
Did you watch Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid?
Not yet. It's on my list, so I think it's on my list. I'll have to double check.
If you're watching serious noir movies, it shouldn't be on your list. If you're watching one that's funny, then it should be on your list.
I'm just getting through what I can get through. As right now they just dropped Dune Prophecy, the TV series, so I'm gonna have to watch that. And we're watching Deadpool and Wolverine now. Me and my wife have a lot of stuff to get through. So, all right, that aside being done.
Right.
So
I'm standing in the office after she just left.
Basically, so if you want to recap for everybody just who you are, just super fast, then we'll go ahead and get this investigation started.
You just told them I'm Dexter Raymond, detective.
Yeah, never mind. I don't think there's really much more you need to elaborate on that.
Broke detective, actually.
Yep.
I just met Margaret Deacon, who's the client, who offered me a substantial sum of money to find out what happened to her sister, Helen Deacon, who was missing for 2 weeks and then showed up mute, battered, bloody. She doesn't seem to remember what happened to her.
And is catatonic and not responding to, and doesn't even seem to recognize her once beloved sister.
And I arranged her to send the bloody camisole that they have to my contact, Virginia. Is that the one?
Yep, Virginia Ashbury.
I wrote on my notes, but I didn't bring up my character sheet. So let me pull up my character sheet.
Gotcha.
Virginia Ashbury, and she also mentioned a cult called Argent Light, some sort of, that sounds like a cult. I'm not sure it's a cult or not yet. But the term Argent Light came up, and a lot of Helen previously talking about something called the Aura of the Secret Masters.
And pyramids. Can't forget pyramids.
Well, pyramids. Everybody talks about pyramids. Is there?
If you're in the cult, pyramids are
pyramids.
Not much.
Pyramids, eyes, they all come up quite a bit. Sage. So what I was gonna do is there was also, I had to have written that guy's name down. Her boyfriend.
Yep. There was also
Marshall Daly.
Marshall Daly, who works as a screenwriter at Capitol Pictures.
Right. Then I think I got pretty much everybody. I think I remember pretty much everybody in my notes. Yeah, Marshall Daly, who was her ex-boyfriend, who's a screenwriter at Capitol Pictures, who's handsome and aggressive, and then Margaret is a real estate development firm, and they're an old money family.
Yep. And she recently took over from her father, who kind of stepped away from the business after.
Right. And she said it was going to take them a few days to get the camisole to Virginia, right?
They'll send it, so however long it takes post-wise and all that stuff.
So I think what I was going to do is I was going to go talk to Virginia and tell her that they're going to deliver, just to tell her that they're going to deliver the camisole and just kind of give it the once over to see if there's anything strange about
Okay.
it, or is it all her blood, or is it somebody else's blood, that sort of thing.
And are you giving her a quick phone call to do that?
No, I'll go talk to her.
Okay. So so basically, talking with Virginia, Virginia is at kind of an interesting lady. She's slim, somewhat bird-like woman. And of course, every time that you've talked with her, she's pretty much been at work in the lab, meaning that, you've always, you always see her kind of with her lab coat, just kind of neatly pressed and all that kind of stuff. But it's almost like you can't imagine her without a lab coat. Because you and Virginia kind of had a weird intersection. Why don't you tell everybody how you met with Virginia the first time, and what did she do to, I guess, kind of have you stop by?
Now I have to go remember what I told you before. 1 sec, because I don't remember exactly what I said. I remember she helped me on a previous case where there was a kidnapping. 1 second while I fill time to find out what I actually told you before. I wish Messenger would load so I could tell you. Did I save that? I don't think I saved it.
I hope so.
Nope, I did not. So I believe I was working on a case. It was a kidnapping, and there was some evidence that I gave. That got sent to the lab that she analyzed for me, and we've kind of been chummy since then. I think that's the light version.
Okay, so basically, she helped you solve a case of a kidnapping where you found there was a chemical on the rag that you needed help identifying.
Right. Oh, that was right. There was a chemical on the rag she helped me identify, which led to the chemical plant where the person was being kept, that had been kidnapped. And that's how we kind of became, she helped me solve the case. That was what it was.
So since then, she has definitely kept herself as kind of like a sisterly persona in your life. She's always happy to have you stop by, because not only does it give her a chance to kind of like stretch and do something other than the work that she, kind of is always focused on, which is mathematics of crystal formations, and very cool in its own right. You always tend to bring juicy tidbits, either in the form of a case or in the form of steamy, seedy, underworldy type things. And much like, so much like the consumer of a dime store novel or whatever they are, she kind of relishes in those extra side stories.
So what I do for Virginia is I take a little bit of the money that was given for the case, and I go buy her a candy bar or something, like a gift of chocolate that I take to her every time I come to her when I have her do something for me. So I do that first, and then I stop in to the lab to talk to her.
Okay. All right. So she seems like, it takes her a moment after you kind of open the lab door for her to recognize that another person is in the lab. But after a moment, she looks up and sees you and kind of like shakes herself out of that insane focus that she has. That she has to kind of, as a woman in a predominantly scientifically dominated profession at this stage in history, she pushes herself hard. But when she sees you, she obviously kind of cracks and she brightens up and she's like, "Oh, Dex, it's good to see you."
And I tell her, it's always good to see you too. Yeah, and I give it to her, and I slide it to her and tell her that I have something for her. I have something coming for her to work on. I had them deliver it directly here, so it won't be contaminated by anything, hopefully. It might be, they've had it. So I give her the rundown. I tell her it's missing persons case. they found the girl that was kidnapped, but she was abused pretty badly.
Oh.
And they have her bloodstained camisole. I just want to see if there's anything on it that might indicate she was drugged, or if it's her blood or somebody else's blood, because you really don't know what happened to her.
Hmm. So she takes a little bit of the chocolate and she takes a nibble and she's like, "Ooh, that sounds pretty intense. Who was it?"
I can't tell you that, but I can tell you after the case, and I'll give you all the details after the case.
She's like, "Okay, well, um, so you're sending me this camisole to kind of do some tests on it to see if there's any funny business. Out of curiosity, I mean, I need something to compare it to. Is there anything that I can use to kind of?
What for what?
So,
Like,
I mean, I can tell you if there's like blood or any other samples or anything like on there on
well, there's
like
definitely
around that.
blood on it, but you can tell me if there's any sign of like ether, where like she was drugged and knocked out, or something like that. That's kind of what I'm looking for. Is anything like that?
Okay.
As far as blood, the only thing I would be looking for is if they're two different blood types, potentially that could be in
Okay.
two different people.
Well, if that's the case, I mean, I do need either a sample of their blood to know, or I need a copy of some of their medical records so I can at least kind of use that. You know what? And she kind of talks and she's like, just to exclude, you know, samples of blood so that I can know that if it's A, their blood,
I'm
B,
not
the
I'm not looking to type any. I'm not looking for any identification. I'm just wondering if like there's two people's blood on this or just one person's blood. So you don't need
okay.
to compare it to anything. And then anything else, if there's anything in the blood like drugs, or if there's anything on the camisole that indicates maybe she was drugged or assaulted or anything like
Sure.
that.
She lets you know that depending on the date of the sample and everything like that, it may not be easy to get too much from it, but she will definitely try her best,
Yeah, that's
so
all I'm asking is for her to
sure.
give it her best shot to see if there's any evidence still on
Mhm,
the camisole. Frankly, they've had it for a couple days now. I don't know how they're
mhm.
storing it or anything, anyways. So I don't
Okay.
know if anything's. I mean, hopefully they didn't wash it or anything stupid like that.
She
Um,
gets a nice dry cleaned camisole. She's like, "Oh,
yeah,
clean."
there's nothing on here. So yeah, they're gonna have somebody deliver it here. I just wanted
Okay.
to warn you that you'll be getting a package before it got
Oh,
here.
well, and it was very kind of you to leave me some chocolate. And, of course, she looks at you and she's like, "Well, but, I do wish there was more to the story I could know now. I mean, inquiring minds must know." She kinda
Like
looks
I
at
said,
you.
I'll give you more details as soon as some of the stuff gets worked out. I promise. I always share the gossip when the gossip is shareable.
She's like, "Fine, fine. Better be good, though." And she kind
And
of,
who
like,
and
goes
who
and she takes a nibble from the chocolate and she
and who
goes,
knows? You might have some shocking information for me after you study the camisole. So,
she kinda looks at you and she's like, "Oh, really? Okay." So,
so I shrug and I tell her, yeah, I really appreciate your help as always.
she says it's no problem. Um, okay. Did you have any other requests for her? So basically your goals from Virginia Ashbury is to have her inspect the camisole. You want her to inspect it and you want her to basically say,
I'm trying to understand if there was somebody her finding out if there's just her blood or one person's blood might indicate that it was potentially like something she did to herself. And I'm trying to
okay,
find out if there's like another person involved for sure.
okay,
And then if she was drugged or anything, I'm hoping there may be some like if somebody ether ragged her and drug her off, there might be, you know, signs of that on the camisole.
okay,
Or if she was stored somewhere weird, there might be signs of that on the camisole.
okay. So basically evidence of like
Stored isn't a really good way to put that, but
if she went through some unusual places,
yeah. If they put her
astral
somewhere,
traveling.
if they put her somewhere, or if they stored her like or if they like put her in the chemical plant, like where they were holding the person on the last case,
Yep.
um, we might be able to figure out who produces those chemicals and then go take a look at that.
Sure. Okay. Well, she says that. I mean, once she has a camisole, she'll run it through a full battery of kind of forensic things, and she's kind of excited. She thinks she's hit a little bit of a a little bit of a rough patch in one of her proofs that she's trying to get through. So she's excited to take a little bit of a break so she can revisit the proof later with a fresher mind.
Well,
One win.
I'm happy to give her. I'm happy to give her a break. So
Good.
from her current
Okay.
work. So
Sounds good. All right. And so with that, we'll go ahead and close that scene up. What else did you? So where else were you looking to go? You said you were looking to go to Madame Eva's?
the next place I'm going to go is actually I'm going to go try and talk to Marshall Daly.
Okay.
So I'm going to head down to Capitol Pictures.
All right. So obviously at this point, Hollywood, the film and movie scene is burgeoning. It didn't take very long for people to get attracted to all these types of things. The big movie stars at the time. Obviously, I can name very few, but in the 1930s, I'm not a really 1930s movie fan, but getting to Capitol Pictures, you personally know that they do have a gate. They try to make sure that everyone that's supposed to be on premises is supposed to be on premises, but you also know that the studios where the actual filmmaking takes place is where 99% of the security is. So in terms of like your experience in kind of dealing with these different film studios and everything like that, how do you do you typically go by here? Have you worked with any clients here in the past, or how does that
I've
look like
probably worked with clients here. I've probably worked with clients here in the past. Either people doing research for tabloids. I've probably done some detective work for that because I was broke, or celebrities stalking their husbands or wives, that sort of detective work. So I've probably been here before.
Okay. And so in this kind of situation, have you been in the studios before? Do you know anybody here that you're aware of?
No, I don't really know anybody personally. I probably have been in the studio, just looking around, and related to questioning and stuff like that. I've probably gotten in either by just requesting to speak to somebody, like, and have them come out. That's fine. I don't really care about that. Or bribing like the gate guard.
Okay. Oop.
Man down.
Earbud's gone. But so it's okay. So let's talk about how you get in. So of course there's like just one gate guard. Based on what you're seeing today, it seems like it's a fairly high traffic day. So a lot of people are going in and out. They don't seem to be stopping everybody, but getting kind of like a cursory glance. Since you're kind of going on foot though, or are you going to try to take a taxi cab into the studio?
No, I'll just walk in. I mean, there's a separate door there. There's the gate, and then there's the door by the gate.
Okay. So, do you act like you own the place and you belong there, or?
Well, yeah, I just walk up to the security guard and tell him I'm looking to speak to Marshall Daly about a missing persons case.
Okay. The guy kind of sizes you up and he says, you'll find him in Typewriter Alley, and he kind of points you into a direction. Having some familiarity with the place, you do know that this is kind of separate from the actual film studio side. Typewriter Alley is basically where they put all their creative writing types, and it really kind of resembles more like a one-story motel, with a line of offices connected by kind of like a long wooden porch under terracotta style awning and all that kind of stuff. And so you pretty much can find your way over there without too much trouble. And then, of course, like I said, it takes you away from the sound stages and all that kind of stuff. When you get there, do you try to just, I guess, how do you approach finding Marshall Daly?
So when I walk in, is there a secretary or anything, or is it just?
They look like they're like a line of offices. So basically, it seems as though the writers have different offices that they work out of. Sometimes they're double up. Sometimes it's a single office for a writer and all this.
Okay,
Well, there's like a secretary.
There isn't a secretary. Mm-hmm. Well, there's usually some sort of thing that'll tell you who's in what office. Okay. So I'll look at that first, and then just go to his office.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, you basically look at the directory, and you see that Marshall's office is down the way a little bit. Getting over to the office, you kind of see one person in there. There seems to be three desks that are set aside, um, and you see one person kind of working at one of the desks, and you see that there's Marshall Daly, and then there's Bill Lance. Two names that are on the door, and there seems to be an empty slot for a third.
Phil Lance, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's Phil with an F, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I knock on the door. Even though I see that they're in there, I knock on the door.
Mm-hmm. You
Uh,
see somebody kind of clacking away. They kind of like look up and kind of surprised. Wasn't expecting anybody, and they're like, "Oh, can I help you?"
yeah, I'm looking to speak with Marshall Daly.
He looks over at you and he's like, "Marshall's not. He's not here right now. But I mean, he's probably just in another office. You'd have to kind of check around for him."
You're Phil?
Yeah, I'm Phil.
Okay. Okay. Do you know where, like, what office he would be in? Like, is there another office he frequents?
Honestly, just check the row. I mean, he's probably trying to. He's more of a distraction some days than others, and he seems to be in like one of those kind of moods right now. So he's probably just trying to chat up some of the other writers. Um, but yeah, he says check. I would check at the end. I don't know which. I don't think I saw which way he went, but sometimes he'll walk back and forth a couple times before he actually settles down and works on something.
Okay, I'll go look for another office that somebody's in,
Okay.
and
It
then
doesn't take.
repeat the process. Knock, knock, knock. I'm looking to
Yeah.
speak to Marshall Daly, and if it's not them, I'll be like, "Have you seen him?"
Mhm.
They'll be like, "Check another office."
Yeah. So eventually you kind of locate him. And it seems as though he's kind of taken up residence in another place. And he's standing outside with another one of the riders, and they seem to be chatting over a couple of cigarettes. Upon approaching and like finding, are you gonna like just approach and say, "I'm looking for Marshall Daly"?
Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah, I just approach the group. I approach the two men and I say, "Yeah, I'm here to. I need to speak to Marshall Daly."
Okay. So they, because like I said, they're standing just outside the office. The other guy says, Marshall, I'm going to take this as my cue. I got to get back to work, man. Um, and you see that kind of suddenly there was one. You do see that I mean, Marshall Daly is a relatively attractive individual. You can tell that, I mean, it may not be like prime time movie idol attractiveness, but definitely a good looking fella. Um, in terms of like, why you being there, he is kind of a little bit surprised that you asked for him by name. So he's kind of like, can I help you?
Yeah. The first thing I do is I light up my own cigarette and then I offer him one of my cigarettes as he
Okay.
finishes his. Um, to give him a reason to hang around and talk with me for a little longer. So I go ahead and offer him one of my cigarettes. Does he take it?
He kind of takes it and of course he gets a light from you and he says,
Yep.
oh, thank you.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you about Helen Deegan. I understand she's someone of your acquaintance.
Kind of nods and he's like, yeah. What about Helen? Is she okay?
Why would you ask if she's okay?
Well, I mean, he kind of like looks at you and he kind of, you can tell that he kind of pauses a little bit. Um, and he says, I mean, I used to see Helen all the time. And then, I didn't even know she was missing until she stopped coming around here. I went to talk to her, I went to talk to her sister and, to see what had happened to her, to make sure she was okay. And I mean, her sister. I mean, she's pretty much a forbidding battle axe dressed in a cute kitten's clothes. And she didn't really want to tell me anything about what was going on. So
Okay,
I
so
pretty much I haven't seen her for a while now. And I mean, I'm hoping she's
yeah,
okay, but
when was the last time that you saw her?
I don't know. I mean, a few weeks ago. I mean, I mean, she used to come by all the time, but then suddenly, just like one day, it was like he snaps his finger and she just stopped coming by. I
Yeah,
mean,
and I have
honestly,
like
I
a
would have not. I don't know when that was though. I mean, I could tell you it was roughly maybe 5 weeks
yeah,
ago, maybe 6.
roughly 5 weeks ago. Okay, and I do have a notepad and I take a few notes. Um,
Mhm.
so you are aware that he did say that she was missing, right? He did say that. That was what he
Yeah, he
said.
was like, "Is she okay?" I mean, he hasn't seen her. He doesn't know that. Like, she doesn't know the extent of her absence.
Okay, okay. He just knows that she stopped coming around. Is basically what he meant,
Mhm.
not that she had been missing. And he's like, oh, okay,
Well, no, he knows that she was. I'm sorry. He knows that she was missing because he went to go see her sister. He went to go see the
okay,
sister, but then the sister was basically gave him the cold shoulder and said, "I'm not going to tell you anything about this."
okay. So I asked him. I said, what exactly did her sister tell you about Helen?
Uh, Nothing other than it's a family matter and it's being taken care of.
But she did tell you that she disappeared for a
Mhm.
couple weeks. Okay.
Yeah,
But she didn't tell you the extent of like how long or anything like that. She didn't give you any additional information other than that.
I mean, has she been found? Like,
Oh yeah, yeah, she has been found. Yes.
and he kind of looks at you just like dumbfounded. He's like, "She didn't even tell me," And you can tell that his reaction is like he's kind of relief, but also kind of angry. Like why the fuck wouldn't she tell me that she had been found?
And I'm pretty sure that his reaction is sincere, honest.
Yeah, you could tell that it's a sincere mixture of the relief and anger.
Okay. Um, and I tell him, well, I'm sure you'll get some more information from her sister in time. It is a family thing that they're trying to deal with. I'm just working with
I
them to
mean,
try to.
but is she okay? I mean, like, I honestly, I doubt her sister's going to tell me anything. If you want to know the
Well,
truth,
that's not for me
no,
to say, but I'm sure the family will
she's
eventually
hurt.
tell you, or
Is
even
she
Helen will be able
dead?
to tell you. She's not dead. I told you she's been
Okay,
found. She's not dead.
you're
Um,
being awfully evasive here, and he kind of like looks at you, and he's like,
well, I'm working. I'm working for her sister, so there's limited information that I can give in regards to what I'm doing. I'm working to find out why she went missing, and that's why I'm kind of asking you for your help on as much information as you can give me on the last time that you saw her, so I can kind of determine start making a timeline before her disappearance of where she was.
"Okay." He's like, I mean, honestly, the last time I saw her was in my office. I wish I could give you a date, but I mean, recently she.
Roughly 5 week works. I think that's fine.
Okay.
Do you know, when I asked her sister, she said she really wasn't familiar with common hangouts or anything like that. Do you have any details on where she might have been going or places that she hung out or other friends that she had?
Oh, I mean, honestly, there was, I don't know. Like some of these things, I know some of the stuff that she said, but she kind of kept me a little bit at arm's length. I mean, honestly, she didn't let me in too close, just say. And I'll be honest, me and Helen, she was definitely a sweet girl, but we knew that we understood what kind of relationship we had. And this is just to imply that their relationship was slightly talking, slightly physical, kind of a little bit of A and a little bit of B. Um, but she did, but she did try to get him to attend. And he mentions he tried to get her to attend a meeting of a group called the Order of the Argent Light. And honestly, this group was run by some lady by the name of Clara Neville. Um, the entire thing was so preposterous. I mean, she never, and honestly, after that first time, she never talked to me about it again. I think honestly, I hurt her feelings a little bit about it because
So
you know how it is.
you did go with her to this meeting of this Argent Light thing.
No, 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 no. She talked to me
Oh,
about it. It just sounded so stupid that there's no way.
did she tell you where they were meeting or anything like that? Like where you guys were gonna, if you went with her, whether you were gonna go?
Yeah, I think it was some chapel or something like that. I don't remember the exact address, but it seems like there's a it was some sort of place. Oh, where was it? It was I think it was on Loma Linda Avenue in Hollywood. I think that sounds right.
Okay. I'm sure I can get some more information from that. I appreciate that. It's good to know who she's involved in, just so we can kind of, again, establish the timeline and kind of find out. So, if anything else comes to mind, I give him one of my cards, which he can call, but I won't answer the phone. I give him one of my cards, and it has my phone number and address on it, and I tell him, if you have any additional information, stop by and talk to me, or give me a call, and hopefully I'll be there.
There is one thing. I did find, this is one of the times this is after one of her visits. I found a poker chip. It was a pretty high dollar one. It was from a casino called the Alegria. It's over in Helen's Clutch. Now, I mean, I don't know what she was doing over there or anything like that, but I fancied the game. Honestly, I tried to get her to take me over, but for some reason, when I asked her, it sounded she basically made a face like I'd run over a cat.
Okay.
So,
and how long ago was that? Before her disappearance? Was that?
That was before her disappearance. It was
like weeks before, or closer to when the last time you saw her?
Oh gosh. She's like he tries to think. He's like, I couldn't really say. May have been a month or so before she disappeared. But
Marshall, do you know how to tell time at all? What time is it right now?
he's like, these aren't important things for me, man. Like, what? I mean, I saw a poker chip, and I said, "Let's go play," and she looked like I'd killed her cat. Like, so I don't remember exactly what happened.
Well, you gave me the name of the casino. That's important. So you have been helpful, even though you're time blind.
Hey, man, honestly, if somebody would have told me that I needed to know these times down the road, then I would have probably remembered them. But we met whenever we felt like meeting, man. And sometimes
I kind of cuff him on the shoulder and tell him, I'm just giving you a hard time. It's just timelines are important. So if you remember anything, please reach out to me.
Okay. Well,
you're a good kid.
Kind of like looks at you. Yeah, sure.
And then I walk away.
So, and he does try to pay. He tries to try to get you one last time to say like, "Hey, are you sure there's nothing you can tell me about her? I mean, I'm really worried here. And the way that you're acting, I understand it's in your job, man, but the way you're acting makes it sound like she was hurt real bad."
No, I tell him she's been found. She's at her home. I understand you're worried. I just can't give you any details other than that. She's home and safe, and that's really all that you need to know right now.
Okay. All right.
Should I try and reassure him? I have a skill in reassurance.
No, you can reassure him. I mean, you can at least get him to drop it. Whether or not he's fully reassured, that's kind of a different story, I guess.
Well, as long as he's not going to go kick their house door down or anything looking for her, that's more what I'm trying to avoid by reassuring him that she's safe and okay.
You've done your best.
I have done my best.
Okay. So after he'll excuse himself, saying, I got to get back to work.
And I look at him weird because I was already leaving. And then
he
go back on the street
on you.
And I check my watch to see what time it is. What time is it?
What time is it?
Okay.
Right now.
Okay, that's good. Evening is the best time to go visit Madam okay. Eva. I was gonna call her Adam Zora for some reason.
Seems a little different than I expected.
What, Madam Zora or Madam?
Yeah.
Here, 1 second. Oh, we are breaking. Yep.
Hearing lots of static and breaking up.
Yep.
Sluggish sound.
Me too. You might want to try restarting.
Okay, I'll be right back. Technical right in the middle of all this junk.
Yeah, just restart the stream. We'll see if that works.
Well, I don't want to restart the stream. I'd rather just hop out and hop back in then.
What's both of us? It's like the audio on the stream.
Oh man. Okay. Well, let me
say something.
Say something.
It seems like it may have cleared up.
Okay. It might just be a heavy internet use. I don't know, man.
Yeah, but sorry, I had the audio from the stream going and this audio, so I was very confused for a second as to what it was like. I traveled back in time for a second.
All right.
It sounded better now. Let us know if it does that again, and I'll make Mike do something about it.
Yeah, I'll do something about it. We'll get this squared away. One way or another, I'll just throw my microphone across the room. That's really what'll happen.
Yeah, your threat was very clear on the stream, so.
I was clapping. That's all I was doing was clapping.
You know, odd way of clapping, sir.
It's true. It's true. Okay. Well then, you were gonna go see Madame Eva then?
Madame Zora, yes. That's what
Madame
I call
Zora.
Her. That's what I call
it. Calling?
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, we're gonna go see Madame Eva. I'm gonna try to get there a little early in the evening because I assume her business picks up later. Like, I don't know, night is when it's best to do movie cold shit. So I try to get there kind of. I think this is about the right time to go see her. So,
okay. Yeah, and at the really the tricky part is that so she has kind of a palm reading joint on Hollywood Boulevard, and it's pretty close to some pretty famous landmarks such as the Musso Franken Grill, Grauman's Egyptian Theater, and there's this little hole in the wall that is Madame Eva's palm reading. Kind of the sandwich board is pretty much the main indication that that you're there.
Does that what it says? That what it says? Just says Madame Eva palm reading, and then it has like one of those old school.
No, it literally just has like the third eye, and it has like a palm, with the the palm up there, and it's got lines indicating certain things and runes, and all those kind of things.
Okay. Yeah, Jeff is recovering from an injury still. We're hoping he'll return soon, but just take time.
Yeah, it was a pretty good ordeal. I'm sure Jeff will be able to tell you exactly what happened to him and what he's had to go through. But I think we actually think he might be able to come back for an episode in the next couple of weeks, maybe, based on the last thing we heard. But it's up to him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the one recovering, so
yeah, he's okay. We'll it's not our story to tell, so we want to be careful what details we give out. But I'm sure he will give some details. And we'll let him know that you asked. I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Madame Zora and her palm reading.
Okay. So
exactly.
Yeah, we knew what you were doing. No, I was kidding. Yeah. No, we're good. We'll let him tell it. So
yeah.
So you go there. Obviously, when you get into Madame Zora's, Madame Zora is kind of leaned into the whole like psychic palm reading vibe. So what you would consider like a typical palm reading studio with the accoutrement, the glass beads hanging from the door, curtains, kind of a cozy atmosphere is set up, a table that is of course empty for everything except for so that you guys can sit across from each other and do readings and everything like that. That kind of like not necessarily an incense burner is actively burning at the time, but the kind of like the sandalwood and other incense and everything like that has been used so often in here that everything kind of smells of that like older incense,
sandalwood and incense. Yeah, and there's probably like Indian rugs everywhere, not real ones.
Oh yeah, like tapestries on the wall, like various crystals hanging from stuff. I mean, pretty much like 100% leaning into the leaning it like it's it's leaning into what you expect fortune readers and palm like fortune telling and palm reading to look like. And of course, Madame Eva herself is a fairly, she's kind of an older lady. She enrobes herself in silks and has a very colorful turban. And she has kind of a flamboyant attitude. Greeting a normal customer, she puts on like a whole show, and you've actually seen it in the past. She has kind of like a persona that she's put on.
Does she have like an
um
accent that she puts on that disappears as soon as she like
it
her?
She doesn't do that, but she definitely, like, if a person who's walking in and you yourself know that, like, that she puts on a show for that person. um because she knows what they want a palm reading theater, in addition to possibly some good advice.
Yeah.
But seeing that you come through the door, she doesn't like slump, but you can definitely tell that she kind of changes to a more casual demeanor, almost immediately upon seeing you, because she knows that you're not there to engage in the spiritual, supernatural, and all that stuff. And she's like, "Oh, Dex, I wasn't expecting you. What brings you to this part of town?"
Dex should have wrote Argent. What is it called? Argent light on his palm and be like, "I'm here for some palm reading." No, he doesn't do that. Brent would do that, not Dex. So I go over to a counter and I had said, I have some. I'm looking for some information on some kind of weirdos around town.
Oh, weirdos. Well, what would make you think I know a lot about weirdos?
You've managed to point me in the direction of weirdos before, so um, I don't know. Maybe they came in and bought some stuff or something like that. It might be names you recognize, it might not. It's just nice to talk to you again. And
Oh,
I slide her a couple dollars.
she's like, "Oh, Dex, it's good to talk to you as well." She obviously takes the money. So she does lead you to the table and everything like that, and and she doesn't like get out any tarot or anything like that, but she does sit down and she asks you if you want some tea or anything like that for the evening, and
Sure. I'll have
she's
some
willing to
tea.
we're willing to hear you out and chat with you for a few minutes.
Yeah, I'm taking up space where a real customer might actually come in, so I try and take
Mhm.
care of her. I say sure, I'll take some tea. And while she's getting the tea, I asked her if she's ever heard of something called Argent Light or the Order of Argent Light.
Yeah, she looks at you and she's kind of like, "Well, yeah, I mean, I've heard of the Order of Argent Light. I mean, this town. It's a fairly big town, and it kind of invites all types. Um, I mean, you
It's a
pretty
big
much
town
have
with small town gossip. So
it's true. And honestly, for every sincere adept that you try to see that's interested in the occult, interested in their spirituality and awakening themselves, there are definitely a lot of those people out there that um maybe don't believe the words that they are saying, let's say. However, I can't say that I know them too closely. But
but you have
this
heard of them.
yeah, they're pretty much I think they follow some sort of hermetic spiritualism or something like that. um I can't say I can't say that they're the real deal, as much as I can say any particular cultish type people are the real deal. um I don't know if they have a I don't know if I can say that their spiritualism is too much, but I do know that they've got followers and stuff like that. It's not a big church or any things, but I think they're harmless enough. Not as harmless as me, of course.
You don't always seem that harmless. Give yourself some more credit. Um, I okay. What do you know? Okay, so they're a church. What else do you know about them? Do you know like any of their trappings? Do you know any of their members? You ever heard the name Clara Neville?
Ooh. I can't really say I know anything about Clara Neville or who runs the church or anything like that. I simply know of them. In this in these kind of dark days, and you could tell that with how she says that, she almost feels like she's kind of in her part fortune telling mode and part just chatting with Dex mode, because obviously you're still in the depression. There's still a lot of people that are suffering because of the kind of economic collapse that had happened and everything like that. She's like, it's hard to keep track of all the swindlers and the people out there that are trying to ply their trade. So I mean, other than that, I mean, I just know that they're kind of a spiritual joint over in Hollywood. They're not too far from here, really. I don't think.
Do you know where in Hollywood? Do you have any
She gives
idea?
you a
Does
she
anybody
gives you an
stop by
address.
and dropped a flyer off?
Oh, she looks at you and she's like, "No, they haven't stopped by here. At least not yet.
But
Usually these types aren't trying to get people such as myself. They're usually trying to get well, to be honest, your type. People
no,
that
not my type.
no, I think they try to get your type because as much as you try to say all this flimflammery isn't real, they try to give you that eye-opening experience, and all of a sudden you're one of the strongest devotees that they have.
Right. They're trying to find rubes. I get it. I got it. What was that address again?
She gives you. She's like, I don't know the exact address, but she says she gives you like a block that would be as close as you can get you.
Is it is it close to Loma Linda Avenue or
Yeah, it's
anything
on
like
Loma
that?
Linda.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's their chapel on Loma Linda. Okay. Perfect.
Mhm.
Let's see. Do you know, and this is a long shot, but do you know anything about have you heard anything of Casino Alegria? How did you pronounce that?
Alegria, I think I said.
Alegria.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know anything about that? Heard any connections or anything like that?
She's like, once I make the money, I tend not to spend it in frivolous ways. I don't really know anything about this casino. I never really dabbled in those things.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for a little bit of information on the Order of Argent Light. I appreciate it.
Okay.
And I just make small talk as we finish the tea, and then
Sure. All right. Yeah. So she tells you about some of the things. Obviously, she shares some of her more interesting fortunes that she's seen lately. And the way she speaks about fortunes, you can tell that at least on some level, that you think that she has a little bit of belief that what she does is possibly connected to some greater spiritual nature or something like that. But at the same time, you haven't seen it personally when you've had it. She does offer you a reading, just to kind of like test your fate and all that kind of stuff. But that's up to you.
sure, yeah, I'll let her do the reading. I'll give her my
Okay.
palm to read.
And pretty much as she reads the palm, you can tell, it's she doesn't say anything, anything that you wouldn't have expected. However, she does mention that you've recently met someone, they've changed your trajectory somehow, and she pretty much uses all those visual cues and everything like that. You know how palm readers typically
Yeah,
try
obviously,
to.
because I'm on a case, or I wouldn't be asking her questions.
Exactly. So I mean, by the end of it, you're kind of like, she could make a great private investigator, let's say.
Yeah. That's what I say. I say, someday you might put me out of my job with
And
your
she's
ability to read people.
and she's just like, and she winks and she's like, there's enough room in this town for both of us.
Yeah, and then I head out.
Okay. Um.
So do I know where the casino is? I'm not going to say that I'm just going to call it the casino from now on because I'm not going to butcher that name over and over again.
The Allegria.
The Algeria, yeah.
I mean, do you know where it is? Probably.
Yeah. Have I heard of it, or do I know where it is?
So, I mean, for your information, I mean, you have the streetwise investigative skill. So,
I mean, I could go to a phone book and look it up, probably. but I'm asking if I know off the top of my head.
Okay.
I mean,
So
they do have those.
yeah, but so this is what you know
Do they have
about
a
it.
phone? Do they have a phone book in 1937?
I assume so. I mean, how else would you call people? Do you just have to know their number?
I
I mean,
don't
you,
know.
you lost all your money putting out full page ads in the phone book. I bet they did. I bet they had a phone book.
Copies of phone books from 1930s include white pages of Los Angeles and San Francisco. So yes, they did.
Okay. So this is what you know about the Allegria, just kind of off the top of your head. Being plugged into this, you know that a guy named Whitey Alexander runs it. You know that Whitey answers to the system, the old line white shoe Anglo mob run by
Whitey, what?
Whitey Alexander. So Whitey. I'm sorry, I've just butchered that several times. Whitey Alexander, and it's run by a former vice cop turned criminal crime lord type, Guy McAfee. And you know that based on what you've heard about it is that pretty much since Guy had or since McAfee had kind of a connection to the LAPD, this you personally know is one of the roots of corruption in the system there. They're paid a good amount of money to look the other way, and so McAfee doesn't really have any problems with a cop stopping by and shutting down his operation.
So McAfee is the proprietor, the guy that owns it. What is Whitey's position again?
No, Whitey runs it, but
Whitey manages it, but Guy.
yeah, but Guy is so Whitey runs it, but Guy is the guy he reports to, for his illicit goods. And you do know that Whitey kind of enjoys a reputation as a mobster that you can depend on, treats you right. So he treats his friends right, let's say. But of course, that really depends. Either you're helping him and he's helping you, or you're out of his way and he's helping you because you stay out of his way, kind of thing.
Right.
So now I guess this is one of the things that's interesting is that in the system you can spend one of your pushes, because you have 4 pushes, I think. You can spend one of your pushes on a streetwise to have a pre-established respectful relationship with Whitey. Would you want to do that? Do you feel that's in your character?
Not yet. I'm not going to make that decision yet. Can I do it later?
Sure.
Or do I have to do it now?
Okay. There's no there.
I mean, I didn't know if there was like a. I didn't know. I didn't know if me being at a pivotal point in the story means that I have to make a choice now in this choose your own adventure book, or if I could do it like if I decide to go there, I could do it before I go inside.
Yeah, I would say that you could spend this push anytime before the scene starts, and of course, if you run out of pushes,
anytime before I'm talking to him, I don't want to be like mid sentence, be like, "I'm going to spend that point now." So Whitey starts being nice to me.
Yeah, it honestly, it has to. There's going to be a certain point, and I'll explain to you when that point is that push is no longer available. But I think that's and honestly, that's a little meta. But this is a one-on-one game system, so you can be a little meta at parts. I don't think.
Well, yeah. If you have a meta currency like that, you kind of have to be meta with it. So, I'm not going there right now, so I'm not ready to make that decision. The place I will go, what I'm going now after I check my watch, and it was probably, I don't know, I spent a little while with Madam Eva. And so is it later afternoon then, right?
It's early evening. I'd say, other than places that are open at night, pretty much, regular business hours for a lot of places are closed.
Right. So is it late enough that I think I can catch Sergeant Ted, at the pub that we go to?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think
so that's the next place I'm going.
Okay. So Sergeant Ted. All right. So is it Sergeant Ted?
Yeah, it's Ted.
Gargan.
It's Detective Sergeant Ted Gargan.
Yep, that's right. Okay. So, yeah, and so in fact, probably, and I forgot about this, is that he's the commander of the night shift for the homicide team. So you probably would go get coffee with him if you were having a drink before he started his shift. If that makes more sense.
Or would I have coffee with him after he gets off his shift in the
Either way, I
morning?
think would be fine. Yeah, I mean, it's up to you.
Uh, hmm, hmm. So I'll go get myself a drink at the tavern, and then I'll meet him in
Mhm.
the morning for coffee.
Okay. So you go get your favorite drink. Obviously, the bartender knows what you want. Do you? I mean, you do have money on you now, and that's not a common thing for you. Do you want to? Are you going to do your normal, or are you going to flash some of that cash? And
No, I'm just gonna do my normal. I'm just gonna buy one drink. This isn't how I go broke. I haven't decided how I go broke yet. The casino might be a problem. But I just buy one drink, and call it good. That's my nightcap before I go back to
okay,
my office/apartment. Uh,
all right. So, so as you leave, Madam Eva's, and you're basically on your way back to your pub, we're gonna do um, a sense trouble roll, and this is a challenge. So, just for people that haven't seen Cthulhu Confidential played before, whenever you have a challenge, basically what you do is you have a character sheet with a certain number of dice next to your general abilities. Sense Trouble is one of your general abilities, and in this case, Dex has 2d6 that he can use. Now, what you do in this game is that when you're tackling the challenge, is you roll your d6 one at a time in order to see if you get what's called an advance. If you get to the advance and you still have d6 left in your pool that you could use, you actually get a push, and you get the best result. However, depending on what you roll, you could use all of your dice and you could fail. You actually get you can get either what's called a hold, which is basically a middling success, or you could actually get what's called a setback. And basically a setback means the absolute worst outcome for a challenge.
means Dex cries, goes back to his office and cries.
Well, typically what can happen is during an advance you can get an edge, and during a in the other ones you tend to gain problems more than edges.
Is weeps sorrowfully a complication?
Could be. I could make that a problem for you. The other thing is that if you feel like you want to succeed at a particular challenge and you want to know what's going on, is that you basically get you can take on an extra problem to get an extra dice. So okay, so now that we've reminded ourselves, since it's been so long since we've rolled any dice here, why don't you go ahead and roll for me a d6.
D6. I rolled a 6.
Okay. All right. Um,
This is a roll under game now, right? Like I have to roll under whatever target number you had.
no. This is a roll plus game.
I'm
So
kidding. I'm kidding because I rolled well.
yeah, you rolled a 6. You're screwed. Um,
Exactly. That was what I was waiting for.
yeah. Well, sorry, Brent. You the additive, and you added way too much.
Sorry, Brent. This is a special roll. It's roll under now.
Okay, so as you leave Madam Eva's, you actually, something's been kind of gnawing at you ever since you talked with Marshall Daly. Is that um, you've been seeing basically the same fedora cap in a couple places. That seems a little too coincidental. Um, and when you kind of take a little bit of a closer look, it looks like you can see that you're being tailed by somebody.
Okay. So I'll walk back towards the pub.
Mhm.
And then so when I'm close to the pub, kind of on my own territory, what I'll do is kind of duck around a corner and kind of wait for them to follow me, and then kind of do the cool noir detective thing, like as they when they walk past the corner, like light up a cigarette and ask them why they're following me,
Okay. So,
and then shoot
and then shoot him. Perfect.
'em.
So, okay, why don't you go ahead and in this case, because it sounds like you are electing to try to get the jump on him by hiding, kind of like ducking around a corner really quickly to lose him and then get the jump on him that way. Why don't you roll for me a shadowing roll? So in this case,
Well,
Dex Raymond.
I think shadowing would be following. Stealth might be better for this.
No, this
I
is
mean,
a
it doesn't matter. I have 2 in both, so.
this is how the challenge is written in this case.
Oh,
Um,
weird.
yeah.
Roll another 1d6.
No, in this case, because you have shadowing 2 dice, you would roll 1d6 first and see if you
Right, 1d6 and then 1d6 again.
correct.
I rolled a 6 again.
Wow. Do I need to open Discord? I think I do.
Go ahead.
I'll see it. So in this case, you get an advance. So at this point, you kind of like get the jump on this individual that's following you, and you can tell that by you kind of like surprising him in the way you do, he's taken totally off guard. What do you do?
Yeah, that's what that's exactly what I do. I light up my cigarette to surprise him as he comes around, like around the corner, and I ask him why he's following me.
Okay. All right. Um. So he tells you, he like looks at you and he's like, "Hey, I don't want any. I, I don't want any trouble, man. I."
Well, you've already started trouble by following me, so you might as well tell me who you are and why you're following me.
He goes, "Okay." Um. He's like, "My name is Franz Spielman," and you can tell that he kind of has a little bit of a German accent, and he says that he's a freelance reporter and he's doing a piece on the red subversion of the Hollywood movie industry. I mean, I don't really have a client for it yet, but when it's all put together, I'm sure everybody in town is going to be begging for this story. Um, and so like the red subversion in this case being the communist takeover of
Right.
Hollywood.
So he's right. I repeat this. You're right. You're a reporter writing an article on the communist takeover of Hollywood. Why are you following me?
And he says like, well, because that writer you talked to, Marshall, he belongs to a communist cell.
Okay.
And I'm following you in case you turned out to be a commie too. But I can tell you are 100% all American.
I chuckle because I scared you when you came around the corner. Is why you could tell I'm all American.
I mean, you can tell you can tell that that might be the reason why he's saying these things.
Okay. Well, I have a few questions for you.
He's like,
You're a reporter. You
okay,
know things, right?
if I happen to come across it.
Have you ever heard of the Order of the Ardent Light?
I can't say that I have. At least I can tell you that none of the communists that I've been following happen to.
What's the name of Marshall's communist organization? Does the group have a name or anything like that? Just the Communist Party? It's a party, Mike. It's a communist party.
Actually, you mentioned that, but I don't actually think there is a name for his communist party. I think he's just,
It's
a
just a communist
communist.
party. Okay.
Yeah,
It's the Communist Party. It's not a communist. It's not a collection of people. It's just the Communist Party. Okay.
yeah. I mean, he's just a communist. I mean, they're not like the local 405. They're just communists.
Communist Local 405. Local 405 chapter. 1939. It's 1937. So no, he doesn't know who won the 1939 World Series, Monk. So I asked him, have you been how long have you been following people connected to Marshall?
um, I mean, a bit. I've been, honestly, like I said, I've been writing this piece for a little bit now, and I think I've got some pretty good information on these. And he says with a, kind of a venomous thing, like I got a lot. I think I got some good information on these commies that everyone is gonna want to read about. So
Why does no one know how to tell time in this scenario? How
well,
long have you been following
a few,
Marshall? Weeks. How many weeks have you been following Marshall?
probably a couple months, honestly.
Okay.
He's one
Uh,
of he's one of my targets because he seems to have a lot of connections.
okay. A couple weeks ago, do you know? Did you ever follow a girl that Marshall talked to about 5 weeks? She stopped coming around about 5 weeks ago, but before that, she was an acquaintance of his, and I give her the description of Helen, and I asked him, did you ever see them together?
Wait, see who together? Helen and
Yeah, I don't give her her name. I give him her description. I say, did you ever see Marshall with this girl? And then I give a
yeah.
description.
He says, yeah, I saw Marshall with this girl. Her name's Helen Deacon. Is that the one you mean?
Yeah, I wasn't going to volunteer the name. Yeah, that's her. Did you ever follow her?
Um, and yeah, I did a little bit, and obviously got to chase down every one of these leads, root out all these communists no matter where they go. Um, but
Right.
I don't know.
Where did she go, and what other communists did she meet when you followed her?
Well, so it seems as though through Helen, Marshall is connected with this crooked accountant that goes by the name of Phil Block. Um, he works at a rug joint, which basically means kind of a fancy illicit casino, called the Allegria. And he's a rough customer. I mean, if you talk to him, you better go in with your gun out.
What was that name again? Sorry.
Phil Block.
Phil Block.
This one's with a PH.
Phil. I was going to say Phil with an F, right? Phil Block, and he's a rough customer. He works at the casino that we discussed earlier.
The Allegria.
The casino.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So that's three names connected to the casino. The Allegra. Gotcha. Anywhere else that you followed her?
I mean, once I found out that she, after I found out that she was mixed up with this Phil Block guy, she wasn't really the lead I thought she was. So I didn't really follow her past
that. Because crime is too capitalist to be communist. Okay.
Not the point of the piece, Brent.
I don't need to explain my art to you, Dex. Okay. I kind of nod along with him. Did you see anything else? Do you know anywhere that they went together, Marshall and Helen? Any more information about that? I am not a communist, but I am investigating something that happened to Helen, and I need as much information as possible.
I mean, honestly, the only places that I ever saw Marshall and Helen interact was either she would go to his work, or she would go to his suite at the Chateau Marmont. She wasn't there long, but it sounds like she would be there for a little bit of time. Some days she'd be there longer than others. some days you could definitely tell that she was just there for a quick tumble and then she'd leave.
I don't know how to spell chateau either.
It's CHATEAU. Chateau.
I was pretty close. I forgot the E. I was pretty close. Okay, and I nod and I say, okay, well, I'm gonna go get a drink now. If you want to follow me, I don't think you're gonna get your news started, but you're welcome to it, I guess. And then I leave and I go to the pub.
He kind of like looks and he's like, no, Auf Wiedersehen, and he like leaves.
Okay. I go get my drink now.
Okay.
Vaguely frustrated at people in general.
Vaguely frustrated people in general.
How long have you been following these people? Oh no, a while.
Yeah,
1 week, 2 weeks. Listen, I have a gun.
That's true. That's true.
I don't know.
I guess I should comment about this in the adventure. They need more dates.
Well, I mean,
in most cases, it's actually funny. I mean, a little meta here, but they do write that they're like, he doesn't need to know these dates. So.
that's important for developing a timeline of your detective, though.
No, but I'm saying like that they say the character doesn't know these dates. They actually write it in.
None of them know these dates.
Well, they're not important dates, I guess. I
do feel like that is a lie. One of them should probably remember something about when it happened.
Yeah, maybe some point.
Like the guy who's writing a news article might have dates for his notes, maybe.
Yeah, so when he started shadowing him, I don't know. He doesn't 65 days ago.
Right.
Well, technically he is German. He should have had copious amounts of notes. German inflection.
I'm just saying. Yeah. For every person I've talked to so far to be going like, yeah, I don't know, days ago.
That's just the time. Okay.
Time is irrelevant, Dex. We don't know what you're talking about. It's 1937. Time is irrelevant.
It's the Great Depression. Who cares about time?
Time wasn't invented until the 80s.
Now you got me curious. I'm going to look at that section to see if I missed something.
I'm sure you didn't.
Okay.
I'm sure you didn't. I just think it's a weird thing. Like details are important in detective games, so it's them to say like this isn't important. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the only person that thinks time like. But timelines are important for detectives usually. Unless I'm asking the wrong questions.
Maybe. I mean, I'm just trying to.
That's why times aren't important, Brent. You're asking the wrong questions.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. I'm really trying to see if there was a date that I missed.
I'm sure there wasn't a date, but they could have said it was 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, or even if he doesn't give it a day, he gives some sort of time frame to when it was.
As opposed I said like a couple months. I don't know, a month or two.
Well, yeah, you finally did.
I was being evasive. Whatever. Moving on. He's being cagey.
I have a gun.
This is how real investigations go. The funny thing is that
I'm really tired of people just saying time. I don't know what time is.
The funny thing is this is how investigations go for real with people. Is that you're like, when was the date? And I'm like, before.
Right. Well, usually people won't be like, I don't know, not yesterday.
True, but isn't that how people really do it? Like
usually they can say like
whisked it.
Usually they could say like a couple weeks or like a month was good. That was an acceptable answer.
Let's see. Witness accuracy.
I'm not even saying they're accurate. They're close.
Okay. It says that memories are susceptible to a variety of errors and biases. Whatever. Moving on. So you.
Right. I'm
So
just
you
saying.
basically you go to the pub. You let this friend Spielman kind of on his way. He says Auf Wiedersehen and goes on his merry
Uh,
way.
I have 2 shots now because I needed it. After being followed and then I don't know, being gaslit about time. And then I go back to my apartment.
It's just a
Slash office.
construct, Brent.
It's just a construct. That wasn't invented yet.
That's how it always should be.
Hollywood didn't come up with time until 1940.
1939. You're a couple years earlier.
Weeks?
Okay.
What are those?
That's funny. Okay, so you go drink, get
Madam
that
Eva,
warm feeling.
Madam Eva, when did you start reading palms? I don't know, yesterday.
I know it wasn't yesterday, but it was sometime. See, you never asked her when she was reading palms.
Sometime before today.
I could have told you how long she's been reading palms.
I feel like this is going to be a conceit in my next Over the Edge game. Time? Nah, yesterday. It wasn't yesterday, but it was the time before yesterday.
Moving on. Okay, so let's go. Let's go to the next thing here.
Are there any ninjas waiting in my office?
No.
Okay,
the only
good. Dex always checks for ninjas in his office.
Does Dex even know what a ninja is?
No.
Okay. Yeah, see, that's really what it is. This is just part of the Cthulhu mythos.
It's true. Right? Like that could. Well, the sad thing is that could be a thing. Yeah, no one remembers time for a reason. Way to pick up on it, Dex.
Oh, that's funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah, Cato. I don't know. Cato wouldn't. I don't know if the Green Hornet was in 1937 either. But yeah, Cato. I think there would probably be a racial slur as to what he was actually checking for in his office, but we don't want to go there.
So okay, so you basically you get your drink, you feel that nice warm sensation, kind of relaxes you from a hard day of not telling time, and getting back to your office, you find your place is the way you left it.
I make some notes. I sit at my desk. I make some notes, kind of trying to put a timeline together of when things happen. For my reference, and then I read a little bit and then go to bed, and then expect to go have coffee with the sergeant after his shift in the morning.
Okay, sure. So okay, you wake up, beautiful day for coffee. You go meet him at the typical diner.
That's a good way to. That's a good way to start it. You wake up, as opposed to all of my characters that I ever played. That the DM was like, you don't wake up. So the game.
This is one of those terrible pun times where it's like we've kind of hit that point where you're just like, and the dawn breaks, crash.
It was a long day today, so sorry. I'm being a little bit more difficult with this solo game than I should be.
Whatever.
Although I do think that would be pretty funny to do PC someday. You don't wake up.
And that's the adventure.
That's the end of the adventure.
Okay. So
yeah, it was all just a matter of time before they discovered time. Yeah, I agree with what Monk said.
All right. So you're gonna go.
My good friend.
Yeah. What are you gonna talk to him about? So he greets you. Obviously, he's having kind of a evening cup of coffee.
I'll ask him how the night was first, and have some general small talk about how the night was. Some recent sporting events that Brent has no idea what would have been the sport night. And then slowly lead into asking if he knows anything about about Helen.
No, we're back
Helen
to Scratchy.
Deacon. Oh, are we back to Scratchy?
I didn't do it this time.
Oh yeah, it sounds pretty bad.
Really? I don't know, man. I don't know how any of this works.
Yep, it's fuzzy. So I don't know what you did last time to fix it.
I don't have very much stuff open on my thing, but I have a feeling it's like part of it's probably my computer, because my computer is on its way out its last legs kind of thing, because it's processing our audio between us just fine. But it's just like, what happens when it's trying to send the stuff to...
I will say it does sound pretty funny. I haven't heard anything you said in the last few minutes because I was trying to listen to the stream to see if it clears up.
Has it cleared up?
It has not cleared up. It has cleared up now, it seems like.
Okay. Perfect. It's just a little bit of a delay. Must be California internet. It's really what it is.
Man, it's so weird when you're both when you're both talking. When you're talking and the stream's talking, and I was just like, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, it seemed like it evened out a little bit. It seems like like it's spiking, something spiking. I blame your computer.
It could be. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It definitely could be my computer. I'm planning on finding one this holiday season. So one of desktop persuasion instead of laptop persuasion.
Yeah, we appreciate you letting us know so we can at least pause so the story stuff is intelligible. So thank you for the heads up, Monk.
Yeah.
And yes, Mike, you should purchase a very expensive computer.
Trust me, it's on the way. Kelly's like, I can't wait. But okay, so so you go to meet Ted Gargan at your normal diner. He's already there with a cup. He's nursing kind of a cup of coffee. You can tell that he's tired. But
the perfect time to strike. Yeah, I asked him what he knows about Helen Deacon. First, I just say, "What do you know about Helen Deacon?" and see if he has any. He like offers any details. If he doesn't, that's when I tell her she's a young girl, went missing recently, and kind of feed him a few details to see if it's right, jogs his memory. But my first thing is, do you know anything about Helen Deacon?
So Ted works in homicide. And so, I mean, obviously he does let you know that he knew about Helen Deacon's disappearance because it's kind of a higher profile disappearance, you know, in the case like Helen's, you know, obviously the fact that, you know, he kind of mentions that the police's priorities are to their priorities may not align based on their extra income. He tries not to be too overt about how he kind of talks about those kind of
things. Some
yeah,
people turn a blind eye.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, we knew about it because of the high profile nature of the Deacon family and everything like that, but I didn't work on the case specifically. Why? You got involved in that case?
Who did work on the case?
He's like, well, there were some people in missing persons that were doing something, but if I remember correctly, didn't she just like show up downtown or something like that?
She did, but it would be good to know who kidnapped her, I would assume. And yes, I have been hired to look into the case, so I'm trying to find out what happened.
So he's trying to think, and he's like, you know, honestly, I don't know. I could check the paperwork to see who was working on the case or anything like that. But I mean, honestly, if truth be said, I don't think there was much of a look into it. As soon as she showed up, they closed the case and they just took her home. I'm sorry, buddy, but I
excellent
think
police work from LA's finest.
The police were pretty much happy to just turn that one back over and just
well, and that's what I say. Yeah, if you can find out who worked on the case, maybe I can ask him some questions and just get a few details if there's any, just to find out. Maybe it'd help me a lot in the case. And then I buy him breakfast.
Okay. And he's like, and he kind of like, and he looks at you kind of like questioningly, and he's like, as you buy him breakfast, he's like, "You got your secretary back to it, or
No secretary. That's maybe a ways off, but I'm on a case.
I can tell. If I'd have known you were on a case, I'd have added a little something to this coffee."
I'll buy you a drink next time you're at the pub and you have a day off, if I still have any money left.
Like that.
I'll tell her.
I know.
I say I'll tell her it's part of my incidentals.
It's like, whatever. You don't know me anything, but I appreciate the breakfast. Okay, and he says he says he'll look into it.
Dex is broke.
You know, it's not. And he kind of tells you, and he's like, "But I'm not. I'm not going to push too hard. I mean, you know me. I got family at home."
No, I
I
understand. I'm not asking you to get in any trouble. Just if there's anything that you heard or can hear, just keep your ear to the ground in case anything comes up, because the family's really interested in finding out what happened. If somebody did this or if she did it to herself, even.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I'll see what I can turn up, and if if you want to meet me back here for breakfast in a few days, then we'll see if anything's come up by then.
Sounds good. Hopefully, I have some money left. I can buy you breakfast again.
I hope so too. It's like it's good to have the shoe on the other foot, indicating that he's aware that he's bought you breakfast a few more times than you bought him breakfast recently.
It's true. It's true. I just happened to show up after his shift and be like, "Hey."
Like, "Hey, are you hungry?" So, alrighty. So I think that's going to be a good place to pause for this session. Just kind of take it in chunks. I think the one thing is that because you're doing kind of like one-on-one, it's a lot to be surprising because there's no downtime for either of us.
Yeah.
Like, like it's really good. I I admit that, well, there is downtime when you're asking me about what the time
the sacred timeline, flat circle, all that sort of jazz. There's no for me, it's just rapid fire. But for me,
possibly, but then but the thing is even in a trio, you two would talk,
there's where
and then it would come back to me, and then you guys would talk some more. Like there's a lot, there's breaks in there that the DM gets in a 1v2.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's an interesting observation. The difference between this game and another game is there's not. Yeah, it is very focused.
Mm-hmm. I like it though. It feels
unless
like progress is.
Unless the jerk you're playing with starts talking about time and how everyone seems to be time blind.
Whatever. I'll have better answers for you to make it seem less like that's part of the adventure and all that stuff.
I have to go back to Madame Eva and ask when she started reading poems. I don't know. It wasn't today.
Whatever.
Virginia, when did we meet? It wasn't today.
Well, it's been one day since you met that one person.
I've known you at least a day.
Do you remember the first time we met? Brent, how long have you guys known each other? She was on the other foot. She was correctly.
Forever. Flat circle.
That's funny. So I think it is an interesting component of Cthulhu Confidential. And I think any other one-on-one game would have this. And I have to say that I haven't really played a lot of one-on-one games recently because we've always played in groups of at least two or more for a long time. I mean,
yeah,
even at the beginning of this, when we started just kind of playing off stream before we doing like a live stream, like it was still three of us, right? So
right, yeah, it was still three of us. We try to bring humor into things.
We do aim to please, Agile. We do aim to please.
We do. Well, yeah. Even the All Flesh Must Be Eaten game when it was just the two of us. You're right. There really isn't much of a break. And when I was younger, I did a lot of like one-on-one games, even in person, because I didn't have that many friends. So it was like me and my friend, and we would just do like solo D&D games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm a little bit used to the pacing, but it is very different.
Yeah. Well, you can cover a lot of ground. I mean, honestly, if you wanted to have a 4-hour session of this, I bet you could get a pretty healthy amount of the investigation done. Like,
Yeah, probably.
but since we're not like super young and have lives outside of it,
Man, yeah, it was a long day. It was a long day today. Which is
Yeah.
probably why there was more punchy conversation by me. It's like, why are they not able to tell time?
Am I back in the meeting again?
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
This has been forever.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah, I mean, I do have a timeline of things, the investigation, all that stuff. Just
Well,
happens to be the
yeah,
different
it's
than what you're asking.
yeah, exactly.
So I am curious now though, and I know it may be a while before we have a chance to do this, but I am curious about the Knights Black Agents, the solo ops that they
Mhm.
do here. I'd be curious how that one differs from this because obviously, the tone of the game and the purpose of the game is slightly different, right?
I bet it's pretty close to the same. I would be interesting to see like um a big part of Gumshoe is like the spends on the skill
Mhm.
spends. And I think it might have more than that. I had one person I read one person describe. Have you ever seen the movie Polar with where he plays the assassin, like super badass assassin, Mads, what's his name? Mads.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking. Mads
Yeah.
Mikkelsen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and he plays the Black Kaiser, and he's like
yeah.
this super assassin.
Yep, yep.
And I heard one person describe that movie as it's like Knights Black Agents if the person just had all the characters' points.
Yeah, I mean, it has some interesting people in it. I remember seeing it and kind of being confused because I think, you know, and I don't know if I watched it right out of the gate, but that has Matt Lucas in it.
Yeah, the guy from British Bake
Guy,
Off. Yeah, that's the thing that
yeah,
I saw him in first too, and I was like, "What?" What? That for me was weirder than seeing Noel Fielding.
because I think that I think he was also in Doctor Who, and that's where I had known him
He
from is
was in
when
a
he was
couple
playing
episodes of
stuff in
Doctor Who. Yeah.
Doctor Who, and so like I was just like, in the role he played in Polar, I was like,
Weird. Yep. Have you yeah, Mads Mikkelsen, sorry. Um you said have you watched Deadpool or you're watching Deadpool?
Or watching because of my current schedule, I can only get part in at a time. We're halfway through Deadpool, and I have to say it's really fun, but it is a certain type of fun.
It is.
Like,
There's one part of the movie that I find is absolutely hilarious, but it's towards the end, so that's why I'm not going to bring it. I was wondering if you'd seen it yet.
no, we're not there yet, but honestly, like the show is just it's hilariously meta. And I mean, I'm surprised they leaned that hard into the breaking the fourth wall and everything
Yeah.
like that. But I'm glad they did because it's like, you watch a lot of if you watch a lot of Marvel stuff, you're like, okay, how many times can they tell me the same superhero esque story?
Yeah.
Um, and basically
It involves Nice Pool. So after you meet Nice Pool, you'll know what part I'm talking about as soon as you watch it.
yeah, I know. We did see Nice Pool. We got the middle of the
Yep.
movie version of him.
Yeah, when he
I
comes
thought that
back
was cool.
later, you'll know which part I'm talking about.
Well, I'm sure it's everything about this is very memorable so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
So memorable. Um, yeah, and definitely, Agile will definitely pass that along for him.
Definitely will.
Yeah, unless he's here right now. Jeff,
That's
you
what I
here right
said.
now?
That's what I said earlier too, but he didn't say anything, so I assume not.
And I don't know if there's a. I don't know if that's. I don't know if there's a way to see who's in chat actually. Huh.
I mean, maybe. I don't know either.
Oh, I can see
We're
participants. Yeah, we can see participants.
we're not technically inclined, can we?
Yeah, we can. Huh. I think it's only participants that are chatting though. We don't get to see whoever's watching the stream.
Well, it is to two people right now, so
Yeah, that's fine. We appreciate everybody that's here. All right, I don't know. Are you sure? Make sure if you do, then you got to make sure your timelines are right for Brent.
it was just so weird that it happened twice.
Hey, man.
I don't know. How long have you been following people?
Just
When was
matter
the
of
last
time.
time you saw her? It was a while ago. How long have you been following them? A while ago.
This is where you can tell that when Mike is on an investigation thing, I'm like, I'd rather say nothing than say something that messes with the timeline. I saw her 2 weeks ago. You did?
Yeah. I don't know. I have a gun.
All right, a couple months. I'm German.
I'm German. That would have been amazing. How long have you been following? I don't know. I'm German.
Okay. Well, moving on. All right. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up there. We really appreciate everybody that stopped by. Hopefully, when people rewatch this, the audio isn't too terrible, and YouTube algorithmic AI, fixes it.
You say that a lot now. I hope AI fixes it. You drop a glass in the kitchen. I hope AI fixes it.
Got to do something. All this AI boom that we're supposed to be having.
From now on, that's what I'm gonna start saying. Anytime I mess something up, from now on, yeah, I fix it, sir. This is a car wreck.
All right, Angel. You take care of yourself.
Have a good one, sir.
All right, and for everybody else, we'll hope to catch you again next time. Next Monday, we'll continue our intrepid adventures in timey-wiminess. And we will catch you all later, hopefully. So
yeah, have a good one, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
See ya.